Snow White and the Little Dwarves. 7 of them, to be exact. Now, once upon a time, there was a little kid who didn't have any mom or dad, and so she was kidnapped by an evil witch. Queen, excuse me, not really a witch. But most people would have thought she was a witch, and every day this queen would say to her magic mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" And the mirror would say, she sounded a little Spanish because she was originally from Spain, and so her accent was more like, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?"
Rawr, rawr. Do you want a popcorn?
No, thank you, no, thank you. Then this little girl, she never knew that she was in danger. She lived a quiet, happy life, drawing water from the well, and every day she would say, "I wish that my prince would come." And one day the little bird said, "This is a magic well. Your prince will come if you wish for it." And so she wished for it. And he did come. Ta-da! So they would talk every day, and they had plans to get married. But then one day the queen looked into her mirror and it said, "You are not the fairest of them all anymore." And she said, "Well then, who is?" And it said, "Snow White." So she sent the hunter to kill her and bring her heart back. But he couldn't do it. She was too sweet, and he was crying. So he said, "I can't do it, princess. I cannot." She said, "What are you going to do?" Her face was quite horrified. He said, "I can't do it. I cannot. But if you don't, the queen will kill you." "Oh, it's all right, princess. I will kill a deer instead and bring her the deer's heart." So she ran far into the forest, and all the trees said, "Wuggy, wuggy, 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 wuggy." And they all had yellow eyes.
If you didn't notice.
And then she was so afraid and tired from all the events of the day, she fell down exhausted and fell asleep in the woods. And all these yellow eyes were not saying boogie woogie.
Woogie, woogie.
These ones were her friends, and they came to help her. And they led her to a little cottage in the woods. Which was right here. And she said, "Oh dear, some very nice, lovely people must live here." And her accent had changed because now they had arrived in England. So she was sweeping the floor. She said, "Oh, some messy children must be living here. I will clean up this messy place." So she did, and then she went upstairs to take a nap. Meanwhile, there were 7 dwarves mining in their minefield and trying to find diamonds. They'd been searching for 25 years for a real diamond. Finally, they found one. They said, What's this? A real diamond? Hi-ho, hi-ho. And they marched home very merrily because they'd found a real diamond, finally. But when they arrived, the light was on in the house, and they thought, "It's a robber." They peered in anxiously. Everyone was quite concerned except for Happy, who was happy. He said, "Maybe a friend lives there." Everyone else thought it was a robber. And their fears were confirmed when they found a lump under the sheets. And they went to hit it with a hammer, but it moved. And they became terrified. But it was just a girl. "Oh, you're just a girl!" they exclaimed.
Except for coffee.
And then she said, "Oh, so you're the people who live here. Don't worry, Snow White, you can stay here with us. We'll protect you from the wicked queen," declared Doc, after she told them their story. Grumpy was the only one who disapproved. And so she said, "You must..." Actually, I don't know what's happening. Grumpy said, "We need to think about this first. Don't just rush into decisions like these." And they said, No, she shall stay. Meanwhile, the queen found out that was a deer heart, not Snow White's heart. And so she poisoned some liquid and made it green. And then she boiled some apples in the green poison. And she disguised herself, the red poison. And she disguised herself like this. Even her voice was changed. The next morning, the dwarves went off to work, and Snow White said, "No, you must wash your hands before you eat, then you may go to work." And so they did, and each time first they had a dance, apparently, and they were dancing and always merry, la la la. And the queen, while they were all partying at night, she snuck in through the river, very sneakily. And then the next morning they went off to work, and she gave each one a kiss on the head for good luck. And then the little animals came to visit her because they missed her from living at the palace. Then the evil witch came, and this is the sad part of the story. Afraid we should stop there so you won't. Very well, I shall continue, but it's not an easy thing to read, children. Now, she offered the apple, just like you see here in this picture. She offered it. And the animals knew who she was, and they tried to warn Snow White. They were all frowning very fierce frowns. But her eyes were red, in case you didn't notice. So then, they went to warn the dwarves because they couldn't get through to Snow White. So therefore, hello, come to join the stories. And when she had eaten the apple, the witch said,
"We're gonna go to Trader Joe's with my dad."
Very well.
Okay.
All right. And so then they... What? They chased her off into the ice. And suddenly it was a storm. And blah, 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 blah. She eventually died, as you can see clearly here from the picture. And then the sad part is that Snow White also had died. And they made a coffin for her, and they cried very much. And she stayed in the coffin for days and weeks and weeks and days and months and years and centuries and maybe just days, all right. And then one day the prince came. He found her after all these years of searching. He found her, and he said, "My, how lovely she is." He didn't say, "Oh, she's dead." He said, "Oh, how lovely she is." And he gave her a kiss, and she woke up, and she said, "Oh, I was waiting for you," as if nothing had ever happened. And all the dwarves celebrated, and they were very merry. And he carried her off to a castle. He didn't carry her, he let her ride a horse. She was a little heavy. And so... she said to the dwarves, "I'll have to leave you behind, but I'll come and visit."
You sit on the boat.